Mom asked me to cancel my wedding because Golden's sister would be hurt, so I uninvited them. So I'm a 30-year-old woman, right? And I've been super excited because I'm planning my wedding with my boyfriend, who's now my fiance. We've been planning this big day for over a year now, and we wanted to make sure we got everything booked way ahead of time. Why? Because we chose a specific day in December for our wedding, and it's right in the middle of the holiday season when everything gets super busy. Now here's where things get a bit tricky. My mom isn't exactly thrilled about my wedding plans. Why? Well, it's kind of sad, but a few months ago, my sister was supposed to get married, and her fiance left her right at the altar. Yep, it was a huge mess, and she was really upset. My mom thinks that me having a wedding soon after that disaster would be really hard on my sister and might hurt her feelings. First things first, my wedding isn't even what you'd call fancy or extravagant. My fiance and I, we like to keep things simple. We don't splash out on stuff we don't need. Our wedding is pretty budget-friendly. We're only inviting about 50 people, which is just our closest friends and family. We're not having a huge pre-wedding party or a wild bachelorette bash. It's literally just the wedding ceremony, and then a nice simple lunch afterward. Another thing is, my fiance and I had been planning our wedding long before my sister even thought about getting married again. This isn't something we just decided on a whim. Everyone in the family, including my mom and sister, knew we were aiming for this December. So, it's not like we're being insensitive or anything. But for some reason, just when everything seemed to be going smoothly, my mom and sister decided to make a big deal out of it. It's really frustrating because it feels like they're turning this happy time into a drama. My sister is 3 years older than me, and this would have been her second marriage. Her first one ended pretty calmly. They just drifted apart after 2 years and decided to split. She's been single since then. So, last Christmas, right when everything was cheerful and festive, my fiance proposed to me, and it was magical. We originally thought about having a summer wedding, but then my fiance got this short-term project overseas, and we had to push our plans to December. Since then, we've been planning it bit by bit. I hate to admit this, but I think my sister hurried her way into a second marriage because of me. She had just started seeing this guy when we announced our wedding last year. They had no plans for wedding yet, but a few weeks later, I got to know that they were getting married. It sounded very weird to me, like marrying someone within a few months of knowing. Out of concern, I asked her. She was sure about this guy, because marriage is a big thing, at least for me. She got defensive and said that not everyone is able to hatch a long-term relationship. It was a very, very sarcastic comment, but I let it slide. She never had a steady boyfriend. I think the longest relationship she had was for a year with whom she married first and then got divorced after 2 years. I'm not saying 1 year is not enough for knowing your partner, but after one failed marriage, one should be cautious while making another move. This guy she had known for barely 5 to 6 months, and she was up for another wedding. Anyways, it's her choice, and I respected that and didn't interfere further. They had planned for an intimate church wedding with a handful of people. I think it was less than 20. There were just 3 people from the groom's side on the guest list. He said his parents lived in a different country and would not be able to make it at such a short notice. So from his side, there were 2 friends and 1 colleague. I think it was his manager. Not sure though, however, on wedding day, none of them turned up, including the groom. We kept waiting at the church. My sister, my parents kept calling him, but he didn't show up. Later, he dropped her a text that he can't marry her because he isn't sure yet. My sister tried to calm him down and suggested that they continue with the relationship and later take a call on the marriage. But he ghosted her. That dude was in his early 20s, less than 25. Again, I'm not generalizing it, but you know how the early 20s phases, particularly for Gen Z, I don't think anyone at this time would want to settle down at this age, especially after dating for just a few months. Since then, my sister has been bitter towards me. No, I didn't do any of those. I told you so things, but I feel she blames me for jinxing her plans. Getting stood up at your wedding is the worst thing that can happen to anyone, and I was consoling her after that. She requested to be left alone with her friends and mom. Except for her friends and mom, I was the only one extra in the room. It was funny though, she could have just asked me to leave. I felt bad about it, but I left without saying anything. I wasn't feeling good. But I realized it must be humiliating for her. And she didn't know how to react. I called her after a week to check on her, but she didn't respond. I texted, but I was left on read, so I didn't bother after that. A couple of months later, I met her at mom's place. I asked her how she was doing, and she was like, "Why are you treating me in the way as if I'm destitute, abandoned by a man? I need no man. I'm happy and complete being myself." I said, "Sure, I was just checking on you. You see, I'm not making up my assumptions. She wasn't giving me cold shoulders after her wedding got called off. Last week, we sent out her wedding invitation. I got a call from my sister. I thought it was a congratulate me or something, but she was like, 'So we're getting married in this outdoor location?' I said, 'Yes.' She was like, 'Cool.' And then she hung up. I was perplexed until I got a call from my mom on the same evening when she asked me to tone down the wedding because it was hurting my sister. By toning down, she meant canceling the venue and getting married at a church or at the registrar's office with 36 people from both sides. I told her that we had been planning this for over a year and she knew everything about the plan. Then why she would suddenly have a problem with it? She said it was because my sister had been stood up at the altar and it would be insensitive for me to get married such lavishly within a few months. I told her we had made the payments for most of the wedding stuff venue, food, decorations, not only the minimum booking amount, but we have paid almost 60% of it. I tried to make her understand that changing the plan would incur a loss. Canceling the venue would be a major loss for us. All the booking charges for the venue, decorations, and caterers are non-refundable. Hearing me whine about the loss, she suggested that I cancel the wedding. I was lost for words. I mean, how could she ask me to cancel the wedding? She said actually that's the better way to respect my sister's feelings. She would get enough time to move on from her trauma. She suggested that we push our wedding to next summer. I reminded her that we have already postponed it for our work, and we cannot do it any further. She tried gaslighting the situation and said that if I could push it once for my fiancé, I should do it again for my sister. If I love her, that made my blood boil and said I was not going to cancel anything and the wedding would happen as planned. She hung up on me. I discussed this with my fiancé, and he's of the opinion that maybe my sister's too devastated with her fate, and it must be hard for her to accept that everything is hunky-dory for me while her life is a mess. He said he was okay if I wanted to have a low-key wedding. Discussing this with my fiancé has made it worse for me because now I feel he is more empathetic toward my sister, and I'm being the jerk for not considering her feelings. Until now, I was thinking that it was unreasonable demand by my mom to cancel the wedding or tone down the plans. But now I'm thinking if I should consider that. I don't know, guys. Have any of you encountered a similar situation? Would love to have a fresh perspective on this. Update 1. Hello all. Thanks for engaging with me in the comments. It really helped me a lot. One of the comments, probably a lot of you said, is that my mom is narcissistic and asking me to change my wedding plans because it would hurt my sister. I realize you guys are right. It was indeed very mean. I'm not doing anything that should have hurt my sister if she really loved me. There's no better way to put this. But she's feeling hurt because she's jealous of me. That's it. And that's not my problem at all. Some of you asked about my family dynamics, whether my mom has always been this indifferent to me, and whether my sister has always been narcissistic. Well, it's a no. Because growing up, I never felt that my mom was too inclined towards my sister. Obviously, every parent has a favorite child subconscious C, but she never made that evident. Yeah, I used to complain that she loved my sister more, but she was never mean or evil to me. I shared a very normal sibling bond with my sister in our early childhood, but during our teens we got distant. It was not because of any fights or so, just that we evolved as very different people. She was more homely and spent time with mom and aunts, busy in small talks while I was never interested in all this. I was busy with my studies, securing scholarships and hanging out with friends instead of family members. Also, I moved out quite early when I was 18. I got into a college that was far from home, and since then I've been living on my own. Whereas my sister lived with my parents until she was 25, she moved out to live with her first husband. Also, her husband's house was a few miles away, so she was always at mom's place every other weekend. Dad passed away 5 years ago, and since then my sister has moved back with my mom. So, yeah, they had spent a lot more time together than me. So naturally they have a better bond than me. Nothing much has developed after my last post. Actually, I'm avoiding all conversation with them. Neither I'm visiting them or calling them. My fiancé asked me if I was considering my mom's request to postpone the wedding. I said no. The wedding would happen as planned. I'll make an update if anything develops. Update 2. I hate to say this, but my sister is truly narcissistic, and mom has been backing her up in her evilness. So my mom invited me and my fiancé out for dinner. I didn't have a very good feeling about it before that invitation. She once called me asking about the wedding preparations when I was giving her the updates. I felt she was not interested to know. It was more like, oh, you're still doing that. And then she interrupted me in between and said, why don't you come home and we can sit and talk? I got confused with this entire sit and talk stuff, but she said she meant a general catch-up. I didn't like the way she was behaving with me, so I didn't go. But last week, she called up my fiancé and formally invited us for dinner. He asked her if there was any occasion or if there was anything she wanted to talk about, but she said there was nothing special, but she just wanted to feed us some home-cooked food. He couldn't refuse it, and we had to oblige. Before going there, I told my fiancé that if mom or sister requested to cancel the wedding or even asked to make any changes to the wedding, he should not oblige. My fiancé, as a soft-spoken gentleman kind of person who often gets carried away by others' emotions. I told him not to give in to their demands or promise anything, and if such a situation arises, he should stay quiet and I would handle it. We went there, and gladly my sister wasn't around. Everything was going smooth until Mom started talking about her wedding. How she and Dad got married at a registrar's office, followed by a modest lunch with both of their parents, and how that money helped them in setting up the house and stuff like that. Mom tried manipulating my fiancé, saying that we have a long life ahead of us, so we shouldn't waste money on the wedding. I told Mom that we had already planned a very frugal wedding compared to our means. We both earned decent, yet we lead a very simple lifestyle. She went on to say that it's our family tradition to have an intimate wedding because we are simple people and don't believe in showing off. I was like, wait a minute. My sister did have a more than intimate, first wedding with 100 plus guests. Mom defended it, saying it was the first wedding of a family and it was Dad who wanted to have it as such. That day, I realized how devious my mom was. She started sobbing and said she was so glad that Dad was able to organize and witness at least one of the weddings of his daughters and how badly she misses him at all family functions. My fiancé hugged Mom to console her, and I gestured at him not to get carried away by her tears. He was kind of annoyed by my stiffness. He was almost convinced by my mom and was like, sure, yeah, we'll take care of it. You don't worry, and stuff like that. Just that my sister stepped in and, oh my God, her bitterness has no limits now. She rushed to console Mom, saying that she would always be there for her and she would respect and obey her decisions unlike others. Her sarcasm pushed my buttons to an extent that I could no longer hold back. I told her that I had not done or doing anything evil, that they were targeting me in such a way. This led to a full-blown argument between us where she said I should have canceled my wedding because my sister was going through such a rough phase in life. But I was so insensitive that I was not even ready to curb down the pomp and show. She was attacking me personally, but it still didn't say anything evil. I was just defending myself. But when she said that it was stupid to spend so much money on a single event, I gave it back to her. I said indeed it was just one event, yet the most precious day of my life. And unlike others, I planned to have it once in my lifetime. She understood that I was hinting in her for 2 weddings. I know I was evil and mean, but dude, I was done with her personal attacks. They've been calling me selfish, pompous, and whatnot for months now. I'm just so done being a good person and a bigger person. I'm just done now. I'm happy being the devil. If they truly cared about my happiness, they wouldn't have been hurt to see my wedding. They were simply jealous of me. Not to mention my statement made the situation ugly, and my husband had to intervene and drag me out of the house while leaving. I screamed at the wedding would happen as planned, and if they had a problem, they could skip it. This was yesterday, and I'm still fuming while I write this update. I'll tell you, you can handle all the evils in the world, but the narcissism coming from the family is the hardest to deal. Update 3. Thanks everyone for backing me up, and sorry for the rambling in my last update. I was fuming with anger and didn't know how to channelize it out, but thanks to everyone who PM'd to me and engaged with me on comments that really helped me calm down. Okay, I have quite an update this time. I'm getting married next week and we are going ahead with our original plans. That's a good part. A lot has happened after my last post, but gladly I didn't lose my resolve after that severe. I would call it a fight with my sister and somewhat with my mom. I was going through a series of emotions from anger to heartbreak. I didn't speak to my fiancé for a couple of days because I was not in a condition to have any rational discussion. He wanted to knock some sense into me, but I was just stuck with the thought that my sister couldn't stand to see my happiness, and Mom was siding with her, ignoring my feelings. When my anger subsided, my fiancé talked me out through this. He said, let's shift the location to a church and cut down on our relatives. He believed that my sister mostly had a problem with the extended family, witnessing the wedding and discussing my sister's fate at the altar. I was convinced about cutting down on the relatives part because I was not that social with aunts and uncles, but I really wanted the venue. Meanwhile, I called up my cousin who's more of a gossip monger. To be honest here, I called her to check if my sister had told her anything about the fight. And yes, she did. My sister had been gossiping about me all throughout. She told them that I mocked and insulted her for her broken relationships. She had blown up the entire story over the top. If it was just my sister doing so, it was still understandable, but my mom had also joined her team and had been bad-mouthing me that I was insensitive and arrogant. I told my fiancé about this and he stepped out of this. He was like, whatever you decide, I'm not getting into your family. Turbulence. So we're going with the original plan of a garden-themed wedding with 70 guests as decided as the wedding dates are approaching. I see my sister's narcissism taking new heights. She was then sobbing in front of my aunts about how inconsiderate I am and how I'm hurting her feelings by marrying at her face now. I failed to understand her problem. I'm not marrying her fiancé or her husband that she is creating such a fuss about it. I said that she tried to console her and asked her to be happy for me, when this tactic didn't work. She had been telling everyone to boycott my wedding so that I take a lesson in respecting the feelings of close ones. After I got to know about this, I emailed both of them, uninvited them from the wedding, with the details of how they had been bad-mouthing me and hurting my feelings. I kept some of the key family members, like my godmother, aunt, and her husband, in the loop so that everyone knows my side of the story. After that email, I saw the tables turning around. I got several phone calls from my other family members, including my godmother, assuring me that I was not doing anything wrong but having a wedding of my choice. The reservation were done months ago, and everyone knew about the plans way prior. So what my mom and sister were doing was nothing but pure evil, and I have all the right to cut them off from the wedding. Yesterday, I got a long voicemail from my sister, calling me a spoiled brat and strong, headed for not respecting her feelings. She was like, it was so difficult for her to move on. She had been abandoned by her fiancé at her wedding just a few months ago, and instead of consoling her, I was eagerly planning my own wedding and scratching her wounds. She cursed me that I would meet a similar fate of hers, or even worse, when my fiancé or husband would abandon me or cheat on me with other women. Then I would understand her pain. I was holding up myself all this while being strong about my decision, but hearing all this broke my heart. I couldn't contemplate how my own sister could curse me like this just a week before my wedding. The week before the wedding is, anyways, so much emotional roller coaster ride for a woman. And getting to hear this from your elder sister is the most horrible thing. People bless their siblings and children at the wedding, but I'm getting cursed. I don't know what I did to do to deserve this hate. My mom also replied to the email that she was disowning me and that I should never visit her ever because I didn't care about my family's feelings. This happened so far. I'll update the thread if anything happens further. Else send me good wishes for my future. Update 4. Hello again, everyone. I'm back with another update on my wedding saga, and oh, what a whirlwind these past weeks have been. I truly appreciate all your support and advice. It has been a tremendous help during these trying times. After my last update, things took an unexpected turn. With the wedding just days away, my fiancé and I were fully committed to proceeding with our plans, despite the ongoing family drama. However, life, as they say, is what happens when you're busy making other plans. 2 days ago, I received a call from my mother. I was hesitant to answer, expecting more demands or criticisms, but something in her voice caught me off guard. It was remorse, something I hadn't heard from her in a long time. She asked if we could meet, just the two of us, for coffee. Against my better judgment, I agreed, curious about what she had to say. We met at a quiet cafe, a neutral place away from the memories of home. It was there that my mother, with tears in her eyes, handed me a letter. It was from my sister. In the letter, my sister confessed to feeling overwhelmed by her own grief and admitted that her actions towards me were unfair and driven by her pain. She apologized for the turmoil she caused and expressed her wish for my happiness, even if she still felt unable to attend the wedding. My mother then spoke, apologizing for her role in everything. She admitted that her grief over my sister's failed wedding and the loss of my father years ago had clouded her judgment. She told me she loved me and that she was wrong to ask me to cancel my wedding. While she couldn't undo the past, she wanted to make amends and asked to be part of my special day. I was stunned. The sincerity in their words was palpable, and it gave me a lot to think about. I spent a long night discussing everything with my fiancé, who supported whatever decision I felt was right. After much thought, I decided to extend an olive branch. I called my sister and mother to tell them they were welcome at the wedding if they felt up to it. My sister, still raw with emotion, said she wasn't ready to attend, but she thanked me and wished me a beautiful day. My mother, on the other hand, was grateful and promised to respect our plans and support us on our big day. As for the wedding, it's all systems go. We're sticking to our original plan, a garden-themed wedding with our close friends and family. It feels right to move forward not just as a celebration of our love, but as a step towards healing our family. Thank you all once again for your words of encouragement and wisdom. I'll be sure to update you after the wedding. Wish us luck and clear skies. Update 5. Hello, everyone. I'm back with what I believe will be the most joyful update in this entire saga. Our wedding day has passed, and it was a celebration that not only marked the beginning of a new chapter with my husband, but also the healing of old wounds within my family. Thanks to all of you for your kind words and invaluable advice throughout this process. Our wedding day dawned bright and clear, a perfect December morning with a crisp chill in the air, promising a beautiful winter wedding. The garden venue was transformed into a breathtaking scene with white and gold decorations, twinkling fairy lights wrapped around the trees, and vibrant winter flowers that added a pop of color against the serene white backdrop. The ceremony was intimate, with about 70 of our closest friends and family. As I walked down the aisle, the look on my fiance's face was one I'll cherish forever: pure love and joy. Our vows were personal and heartfelt, a true testament to our journey together and the future we envision. There was hardly a dry eye during the exchange. Even my usually reserved fiancé got a bit teary. Unexpectedly, midway through the reception, my mother took the microphone. My heart skipped a beat, fearing a return to old grievances. However, what followed was a sincere speech from her, acknowledging past mistakes and expressing her happiness for us. She shared anecdotes from my childhood, drawing gentle laughter from the crowd, and concluded by saying how proud my father would have been to see this day. It was a significant healing moment for all of us. Later in the evening, the dance floor was open, and the atmosphere was electric with joy. I shared a dance with my mother, something I hadn't thought possible a few months ago. We didn't speak much, but we didn't need to. The dance said it all. My friends and family mingled, danced, and celebrated, creating new happy memories. Although my sister wasn't there, her presence was felt through the beautiful bouquet and her heartfelt note. I kept the bouquet near the family photos we displayed, symbolizing her part in the day. It was a poignant reminder that healing takes time, and everyone's process is different. The reception featured a cozy, delicious winter-themed menu, with comfort foods that warmed everyone amidst the chilly air. Our caterer did a fantastic job with seasonal specialties, and the warm apple cider was a hit among our guests. As the evening wound down, we released lanterns into the sky, a symbol of letting go of past grievances and lighting the way for future hopes and dreams. Watching them float up into the starry sky, surrounded by cheers from our loved ones, was a magical end to a perfect day. Now, as we settle into our routine and reflect on our wedding, I am filled with gratitude. This event wasn't just about the union of two people. It was about the coming together and healing of a family that had been torn by misunderstanding and grief. Moving forward, I am hopeful about rebuilding relationships and creating a future filled with love and understanding. Thank you all once again for your support and for following along with my updates. Your insights and encouragement have been a beacon during tumultuous times, and I'm so grateful for this community. As we embark on our honeymoon and the adventures that the future holds, I carry with me not just the love of my husband, but the renewed bonds with my family. Here's to new beginnings filled with hope and joy.